Welcome to Private Club Radio, the industry's first and only program dedicated to education, news, events, trends and announcements. Broadcasting from Tampa, Florida, ladies and gentlemen, here is your host, Gabriel Aloisi.
Welcome to another edition of Private Club Radio. So happy to have you here. We've got Rick Coffey on the show today. Rick is the M3 manager at Club Essential. He's helping take private clubs into the 21st century by streamlining processes across the club using things like big data and CRMs. Don't worry if you don't know exactly what big data is or even why you should care, because Rick explains what it is and how powerful it can be during our interview. Rick has been a membership director, he's a past president of the Professional Club Marketing Association, and he's worked with hundreds of clubs across the U.S., so he has a ton of insight to bring. During this fascinating half hour, we talk about connecting with millennials, some exciting ways to attract membership, and social media content tactics to appeal to a broader demographic like women and families. So you are really going to enjoy this show. Now, before we get into it, just a couple pieces of information. This week is CMAA week, and the Professional Club Marketing Association would love to have you stop by booth number 314 and join them. And while you're at the show, don't forget to stop by and see me and get on Private Club Radio yourself. I'm in booth 128 with my company, Course Driver. And lastly, don't forget to check out privateclubradio.com. That's this show's website, where you can actually become a guest, ask any questions you want to some of our upcoming guests, see our schedule, listen to past episodes, and so much more. And by the way, did you know that you can actually stream Private Club Radio on demand every week right from your mobile phone? That's right, whether you're working out in the gym, you're driving to or from work, you're sitting in the office doing paperwork and just want to pass the time, that's what this show is for, and we made it really, really simple for you to do that. If you are an iPhone user, it's really simple. Just open up your Podcasts app and search for Private Club Radio, and you can stream the show each week there. If you're an Android user, get the Stitcher app. And on Stitcher, you can subscribe to the show, and every single week, our show will automatically download and be waiting for you there on Mondays. Other ways you can listen to this show each week are by downloading the SoundCloud app or the TuneIn app. So there's lots and lots of ways to get this show and to get some of the great content that we are producing just for you.
Private Club Radio is brought to you by Shake Creative, the premier marketing and design firm, helping prestigious clubs increase and retain their membership. Visit shaketampa.com to learn more.
Now that we have the housekeeping out of the way, let's bring on Rick. Rick Coffey is the M3 manager at Club Essential. Rick was a membership director at 3 different private clubs in the Chicagoland area between 2007 and 2014. He sold 265 memberships and generated $5.1 million in initiation fee revenue during those tenures. He rose up through the ladder of the Professional Club Marketing Association to become the youngest national president in 2014. Rick is a certified membership and marketing professional who now leads 3 teams for Club Essential, the Technology Company of the Year for the private club industry in 2015 per Boardroom magazine. He consults clubs across the country in the areas of membership placement, membership ideas, and building CRMs. Rick, welcome to Private Club Radio.
Gabe, thank you very much. Such an honor to be here, and I just applaud you for this avenue that you're taking. Thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure to have you. Rick,
Thank you.
Rick, I want to start off talking a little bit about big data. So that's a buzzword that a lot of us hear, big data.
Yeah.
So can you actually explain to our listeners what is big data and how it's actually relevant to this industry?
Great question. I had the honor about a month ago to be on a CMAA national webinar dealing with big data, because it is a big issue in the private club industry. Big data can mean different things in different industry, but it's, all the data that's coming in through different streams into a private club. It can be coming in through the accounting software. It can be coming in through reservation modules. It can be coming in from really anywhere. It's the data that we know about our members at clubs. How are they spending their money? How many tee times are they playing? How many times do they come to the dining room? That's all data that's sitting in usually different software pieces across the club. And generally, the big issue in the private club industry now is because things have tightened so much, there's not a lot of people at the clubs who are able to take that data from those separate areas and bring it together into one depository so that you can take that data and turn it into actionable items like charts and graphs so that the committees and the boards can take that data and turn it into real actionable items to learn about their members, learn about the prospects. So I think the general answer to it is big data is all the data that we have about somebody at our clubs, whether it's the prospects or the members, and then how do we bring that together and use that data for the good of the club.
Yeah, can you give me some examples of real life using this big data beyond just a chart and graph? How do people actually put that into play? And they create revenue models from it. What do they actually do with this data?
Yeah, so I think they're using that to see about staffing. If they're be able to look at the data that's coming from the dining room, when are the members coming in? When are they not? If they had that data available and sorted to see during each day of the week and each hour of those days, when are the members coming into us? If that data was brought together and sorted like that and then turned into an item where that food and beverage director could look at it, then you're able to optimize your staffing for those times and to probably reduce the labor costs. We want to get to those things right there, like that last thing where we're making an action item. Are we reducing labor costs? Are we bringing on more members because the data is there to show us that, okay, maybe and if I'm doing a direct mail piece or I'm marketing somehow to somebody, I'm finding out that for me, Chicago is my number one spot, and I really don't need to go to any of the other suburbs. You're just finding data like that, which is saying and directing you to take action on. So something like the dining room there, if you're finding that data, you may just, without that data, you say, I got to have 5 servers in at all times. Well, if you find out that, 60% of the time you don't have members in there, you really likely don't need those 5 servers. So that's what clubs are doing across the board once they start to get into things where they're able to bring that data together, turn it into actionable items, and then look at that data to help them out in some way.
So I'm sure you've gone through a lot of this data as you're developing this system.
Right.
What would you say is like the most surprising piece of data or statistics that you came across?
Well, actually, the most surprising statistic is how much, especially on the membership, and again, I'm speaking to that because I was a membership director the last 8 years. So I've done about 450 demos in the last year with clubs around the country looking at the CRM, which helps bring data all together into one spot. I would say 95% of the membership directors, the membership professionals out there, do not use any sort of automated technology to put data in about their prospects and like a CRM. That's probably the biggest thing that stood out to me is so many people are just using Excel file at the most, but then some people are just using printouts of emails and writing hand notes, using sticky notes still. And it's just an inefficiency. And I'm not sure how it got to this point in the industry. But as a membership director who tried very hard to maximize every available benefit to me out there, it's a surprising number. I think it's leading to inefficiencies across the industry, and so to me that's the number one reason. Just because 95% is a huge number, and it's a real number I found out.
And it takes some active participation on the user side as well.
Sure.
Garbage in, garbage out, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's just, there's a lot of things about the industry that's tough right now. There's not a lot of training that goes on. If a membership professional is brought in, it's pretty much welcome to the club. Now go find us some members, and things like that lead to large numbers of people just trying to use a way, that they can get through. But there really are better ways to take data and learn from it.
So take me through the process. If a club was going to utilize your systems,
right.
I assume you guys kind of train them how to actually use the data, how to mine the data. Can you tell me a little bit about how that process works?
Yeah, and Our system is the first one that really goes down to the individual club and the individual user. We have our own template, so we don't have to run off of any other platform or anything like that. And I think that's one of the big reasons we've been successful, because clubs are so different across the board. I mean, even a separation like a yacht club, we have multiple yacht clubs using our CRM, but they're all tracking different things because a membership committee may be asking them to show them different things. And so if they're using a platform that runs off of a static template, they can't adjust it enough to make it work for them. And so our process is a one-on-one consultation, which I lead as the project manager. And so we reach out and just sort of learn from them. We look at what they're doing now, currently. And if it's an Excel file, that's great, at least in the fact of I can look at the column names and see what they're tracking about the prospects currently. And then we can take that and say, okay, let's bring all that data into the CRM. Is there anything else that you've been asked by a committee member, a board member, your general manager? And we can just then customize every field of their CRM to fit their eye, their personality, and those things that they're being asked. And it really takes the anxiety away. I think that's the ultimate thing, is some of the CRMs out there are just so large, they're so static that it's just, they get in, they get scared, and they go back to what they were doing. With us, we're always helping them. We're always trying to make it easier for them and streamline it. So that's the process. It's a one-on-one consultation. We have 142 clients right now through a year, so it's a lot of consultations, but it's worked out well.
Yeah, so this is a pretty new product, and it had a pretty explosive appeal in the industry.
Yeah.
What do you attribute that to?
Just a need, just like we were talking earlier. Your private club radio, it fits a need, and this was a large need in the private club industry because, again, I found out through 400 demos that an overwhelming amount of the people just aren't taking data and using it to the maximum possibility. So when you find something out there that's a need and you have a platform that's flexible enough to fit and to customize it for the private club industry and all the intricacies that it has, it ends up being a successful product. And thankfully, Club Essential has one of the best reputations out there. So when you're matching, you have a product that fits a need and you have a great name and support system to it, it ends up working out like this has.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of the what gets measured gets done idea.
Yeah, exactly.
So obviously that's what you're doing for the industry. Let's take a step back. And what are just some of the other needs you see that are in the industry from a broader perspective?
Yeah, and I touched on it a little bit there. I consult for a country club here in Chicago. I still talk to clubs all across the country, obviously, each day with my role here. But it's almost from my time being at the clubs, we talk so much. So many clubs are trying to get back to the good old days. Well, society has changed so much that it's not going to get back to the way it was. The society has changed so much. But my sort of thing is about almost the club management, the people delivering the product there. I see some stark issues there just because of reduced revenues at clubs. You're also seeing reduced staff and people having to wear more hats than they're accustomed to. And that always, leads to inefficiencies and cutting corners and things like that. So it's just in the industry, I think one of the biggest things to help us move forward, at least to get back those membership numbers, is the personnel has to embrace new things. There needs to be training. Somebody needs to be shown some of the new ways to do things out there. And the people working at the clubs also need to sort of have that drive to say, I just can't do what I've been doing, for the last 10, 20, 30 years, which is often the case in the club industry. There's a lot of tenure at the clubs. I just think that one of the biggest things that needs to be done is the people delivering the product need to embrace new efficiencies, new technologies. And I'm not just speaking about CRMs, about everything. There's so much technology out there in different platforms that can really make things easier, make it easier to appeal to the younger demographic that we're all searching for at these private clubs. So that would be my one sort of bold statement out there. And I feel like I can make that statement because I worked very hard to embrace everything that was out there to help me. I think the personnel needs to sort of grasp for new technologies and new efficiencies to help deliver that product that somebody might be interested in.
Excellent. let's move on to marketing and marketing trends. What are some of the trends that you're seeing in the industry, and what's really working?
Well, again, we're all looking for that younger demographic, and so golf, has steadily declined since 2000, as a lot of us are well aware of. That's still a big piece at the country clubs, but now everything's more about family. The guy is just not the sole decision maker any longer. It's got to be the spouse or the significant other on board. The kids got to have stuff to do at the club. And so just marketing wise, it's a slow trickle around the country that clubs are recognizing this at different paces. But as far as marketing, those websites are becoming the number one area to reach people. Members are still great, but it's so much easier for somebody to go to a club's website and see what they have to offer. And on that website, are they finding images of real people at those clubs enjoying different amenities that would be, impressive to a man, a woman, child? Are those kind of things being shown to the people looking at the clubs? Because it's really no longer, it still happens, but it's not the norm for a club member to say to his friend, come to the club, let me show you everything, let me answer everything for you. Those people are having to go to different areas like websites to see what a club offers. And if clubs aren't doing that, they're missing out very big, these days.
How about social media? I would imagine that if you're trying to reach the ladies in the household, a lot of them are spending a lot of time on social media. Right. Now, I think clubs really, or any business for that matter, but I think private clubs are generally, maybe there's too many options, right? Should I use Twitter? Should I use Facebook? Should I use Google? Should I use one of these new live streaming platforms like Periscope? In your estimation, what do you think would be a great way to reach the female demographic social media wise?
Yeah, good question. It's just a matter about relevance. We speak about that in the industry a lot of how are you relevant to a man, how you're relevant to a woman, how you're relative to seniors and kids and everything like that. And so I don't know if you have to break it down into one specific area, like Pinterest is going to be your number one spot to reach females. It's not like that. But are you diversifying your content on each of the platforms? And for clubs, I don't even know if they even know that it's possible to go out there. I mean, you're a very creative guy with your position and everything like that, but you got to remember there's clubs out there who don't even feel that they can be on social media. I mean, so that's the number one issue, is just educating them that they can do so. But for those clubs doing it, it's just about, okay, let's not only put out stuff about, every male golf tournament on the PGA or golf lessons to males, put out data about cooking classes, about, aqua fitness, or, things that just may appeal to the female demographic and things like that. You can do that on Facebook. You can put out Twitter posts, that take to an article about, fitness or yoga or anything like that. So it's not going to be so much a site specific, but is the content that you're putting on there relevant to the female? And it needs to be put out there just as much as it is for the male gender.
That is an excellent point. And any of the listeners listening to that, I really think that, take that down as a note, because so many people get so wrapped up in the platform, but it's really the message. And I think all these clubs that I'm seeing that are using social media, none of them are doing what you're suggesting. Not many at least. Most of the messages or the content is really geared towards men. So everyone's saying in the industry, hey, we need to reach more families, we need to reach women, but they're not putting out any content that's attractive to women. So that's really good. I'm glad you brought that up, Rick.
Well, thanks. Yeah, and it's got to be a consistent message across the board. There's platforms out there that'll allow you to sort of send out one message that'll push it to Facebook. It'll also push it to Twitter. It'll also push it maybe to Pinterest or Instagram. So there's a lot. You got to be careful, because it's going to reach a lot of people. And so that's why I think clubs have sort of really been hesitant as well. Is okay, if we feel that we can do this, who are we going to task at our club to make sure that we're not putting out something that just backfires on us? So it has to be part of a well thought out plan. But it also has to be delivered to each demographic.
Excellent. So along the same subject of marketing, from a broad perspective, just isn't working. What should clubs stop focusing their time on or attention on?
Oh, that's a good question. And it relates to just what we were talking about there. To feel that the golf course is the only thing that's driving, membership, that's just, it's still out there. It's the elephant in the room that, those boards are sitting there, and, they're all probably men who have been at the club for 25 years, and they play golf four to five times a week. It just still is the way it is. And so if the club has capital reserves or anything like that, a lot of the attention goes to the golf course. And again, that can still be a driver, but you really, for those clubs who are having success, again, it's, are you going to try to get back to the old days, or are you going to try to embrace what the new demographic, the new society of a family is? And so you have to take any marketing efforts and spread those amongst the different demographics. And it seems to be that the clubs that I find that are doing well have done that. They have kids events. Most of them will have these kids clubs at least once a week, where couples with young families can come, and there's babysitting, there's activities that those kids are going to want to go to be with other kids at the club. And then all of a sudden you have a date night for that young couple, or even the older couple with grandkids. I've seen that across the country be very successful in delivering younger members, which are the healthiest members for a club to have. So the biggest marketing blunder out there still is too much of the attention is on the man, too much attention is on the golf course.
What's going to be the next frontier for clubs as it relates to digital marketing?
Well, social media to us is probably the number one feature. One of my divisions that I'm a part of here is the digital marketing team, and we have a dedicated person who handles social media for clubs around there. You just want to get the word out to that right demographic, which is going to be those 30 to 45-year-old families and everything like that. And so the website and the social media platforms are where you're going to reach those people. And so, if you're not doing it, you're obviously doing a disservice to your club. But that's going to be the thing, is just making sure that you're putting out content to that right demographic that's enticing them to reach out to you at the club. And through the website, that's using a contact us information form, so that if your website's piquing that interest, they have many opportunities to reach out to somebody at the club. And obviously I'm a proponent of having a dedicated membership professional and marketing professional at each club. And so once you have their attention, who's going to deliver that message and be able to walk through those 6 to 8 touches that it takes for somebody to join a club on average? Is there somebody there who's going to be able to handle that? So that's a big piece of, not only are we marketing, what happens when we actually get that person to come to the club and ask those questions about what do we offer? Is there somebody there who is trained, who is embracing, technology to keep track of that information? So those are kind of the big things there. Not only getting somebody, but how do you convert them to a member?
What, in your estimation, is lacking from the private club industry?
It is that ability to have a professional there to take interest. I mean, membership is the thing. I mean, there's so many pieces about the club that have to be delivered well. I mean, you have to have a good chef who delivers a good meal when it comes in. But if you don't have members to come in and enjoy that meal, it's just going to be a downward ship. And so again, I'm sort of biased because I come from that realm, but all clubs across the country are looking for members. Let's not say all. Most of them are in need of members out there. And so it's just a matter of, are you marketing right? And then do you have somebody who can take that and deliver the right message and follow up with that person enough? Because that is a big key out there, is it takes 6 to 8 touches. And a touch means you can't just talk to them on the phone one time and expect that they're going to sign the papers. You have to have them out for a tour. And it's not only just a tour of the man, it's going to be a tour with the family. And once that happens, do you allow them to come to the club and enjoy a lunch or a dinner? Are you going to invite them to a social event so that they meet a couple people at the club, which will help them feel the right vibes and to say, yeah, this is something we want to join? It is a long process. It takes somebody to really follow up on each of those processes as well. So I don't see the private club industry still running like other business industries do. And until they embrace the fact of having professionals in the marketing and membership role, I don't see it ever really getting better.
So you talk about those 8 touches. Is that something that your system can help folks accomplish?
Well, sure. I mean, we can track all of those steps through simple tracking of check boxes just to make sure. Can we remember if we've toured this guy before? If you're not if you're just writing that down and you forget to write that down on a sticky note that I've toured this guy or gal, you call them again and say, how about you come out to the club for a tour? And you've already done that. At that point, the person's going to be turned off, right there. So it's just a matter of processes. Can you keep track of the processes in a system to know and exactly know what you've talked about already, know what you've done with this person, know their objections, know what they want? And so, I mean, it doesn't have to be ours. I certainly don't say it has to be a Club Essential CRM, but if somebody has the training and the ability to track all of those informations, that's a big piece to it.
So the benefit of your CRM is that it ties into some of the other systems that the club has, I imagine.
Yeah. The Club Essential, it has the first unified suite out there, which means we have every piece of the pie, from accounting software to websites to reservation modules to anything that you want, and including the CRM, which allows all those separate areas to all funnel into one area. So that big data that we started talking about, it all comes down into one area that's extremely robust and flexible to pull that information apart and do what we need to do with it to turn it into revenues, turn it into saving a member, making return on investment.
Nice. So, Rick, I am a millennial, or at least I consider myself a millennial. I'm right on the cusp. I'm 35 years old. I was born in 1980, so a lot of people say that that's sort of the point when it happened, right? Do you think that clubs are scared of people like me, millennials, and should they be?
Well, I'm 36 as well, so we're in the same thing. It does scare them a little bit, obviously, because again, the people making the decisions oftentimes are the board. And if you look across the country, you're seeing that the age on the boards are oftentimes, well above the millennial age. They all want them there. They know that, but it is scary to. How do we get them in? What are they going to pay? How are they going to eventually become a full member like that? I think it's almost like I was talking about when I was talking about somebody switching to a CRM. There's anxiety there at the board level of saying, are these people coming on going to be able to support us, 15, 20 years from now down the road? But they just have to understand it's going to be a different club. I mean, are you looking in the past? Or are you looking for the future? And as long as you're still sticking to what a club should do in vetting those people coming on, making sure that they fit the branding of the club and things like that, it's going to work out. But yes, I'm sure there is anxiety out there, but I don't know if it's justified.
So what should clubs actually be doing to attract millennials? And I'm not talking about allowing membership to wear jeans, because I don't know, at least in my opinion, I don't really care if a club allows jeans or not. I do wear a lot of jeans myself, but that's not going to make or break if I'm going to join a club.
Yeah.
What are some of the real issues that people should be concerned with in actually attracting millennials to their clubs? And what should they be providing for them?
Well, if you just look at some of the broad-based things about millennials, they're very open-minded. They're very educated, and it's almost like the country club name even has become seen as too stuffy for somebody who's a millennial. They want to be part of a very diverse group of people. They want to have a diverse option of amenities that they can choose from. They don't want to be tied into long-term contracts. It really comes down to that monthly payment, like a lease of a vehicle. The millennials, that's what they're more looking at than. They're not used to being able to put down initiation fees of 15, 20, whatever it's going to be. It's more about that monthly cost. Jeans is a part of it. If you have young families like myself, I mean, the reason I would join at 36-year-old would be those kids' activities that could help me and my wife be able to have some nights to ourselves and know that the kids are safe and enjoying themselves out there. So, I mean, it's not a very narrow focus. There's a lot of things that need to be done. But again, it's just looking at the fact that the younger millennials are very open-minded, they're very well educated, and so we can't just say we have a great golf course, you're going to love it, give us all your money. It's got to be appealing across the board, and so that's what we need to be focusing on. Is the club well-rounded, and is it relevant for different types of people?
Yeah, I'm hearing flexibility is an important thing there, it sounds like.
Sure.
What it would be your big, bold prediction for this year, for 2016, and for moving forward in the private club industry?
Yeah, and I think it would be that statement that I said a little bit earlier about if it's not just about who's joining the club, it's a matter of who on the management team and the staff all the way down to the servers and the valet. Are they being trained to understand the branding of the club? Again, because each club is so different. I mean, even inside of cities, there's a club that's known for the golf course. There's a club that's known for its social aliveness to it, and so does the people delivering the product. And again, I'll throw out a stat. I think it's 32 touches that a member or a guest is going to have when they come to a country club from the time they drive into the parking lot and drive out, from that valet to the front desk person to, say, the membership director, the chef, the servers. There's a lot of opportunities there for somebody who is not trained well or doesn't know, here's what I'm supposed to be delivering for our club, to take somebody from a great experience to a very difficult experience. And we all know that difficult experiences get spread, word of mouth more than good experiences. And so, again, I think it's more on the internal side. Is the staff delivering the product trained? Are they willing to embrace new things? And if that happens, you see it across the country. The clubs that have great staffs and management delivering are the ones who are attracting the members from any age, from young millennials all the way up to 65, 70-year-olds. They want to be part of a club because they're finding that it's relevant for every age demographic. And so my bold prediction is that it's not so much about finding people. It's almost more important that when somebody comes to the club, that they're getting a delivered message because the staff is better trained.
That's another great point, because I think a lot of people are hunting always. And
exactly.
They're always looking for the next big kill rather than fostering the relationships that are there. And I think I've said this on the program before, but when I started my business, I hired a business consultant, and he told me the easiest person to sell to is the person that just bought from you. And so take care of that person. They're the ones who are going to refer people. If they have a great experience, they'll tell other people about it. So you make a great point there.
Thanks.
Last question here for you.
Okay.
I ask this to all my guests, and sometimes it's a little bit of a difficult question for them because they don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
Well, I may have already done that with the staff. So,
but I call it the bucket list question. So for our listeners, if they're going to be traveling around the country, you've been to clubs all around the country, and our listeners travel. If there's one club or a couple clubs that before you die you've got to visit, could you tell us in your opinion what those clubs might be and why?
Oh, that is a good question. There's two. And did you say just the country, or are we talking worldwide?
Let's go worldwide. Heck, okay. It's a bucket list after all.
Yeah, there's a club in Scotland, at the tip of Scotland, called Old Head, and it was just like. Again, like I was looking for clubs. I went to their website. Somebody had told me that they had visited one time. They say, you got to look at this. And so, again, that was almost like a referral. So I go to Old Head's website, and the imagery is just unbelievable, and as a longtime golfer, that would be my bucket list. If I had to go somewhere, it would be to Old Head in Scotland. In the States, though, I've been to some great ones. I've been to Oakland Hills and Detroit, but right before the Ryder Cup was there. Inverness is probably my number one club in Ohio still. It's a hallway after hallway, but it's just so, the tradition, you can feel it when you get there. So I love Inverness Golf Club in Ohio. And then one of our top clients within Club Essential is Monterey Peninsula Country Club, obviously out in the Pebble Beach area. And it's, again, to the eye, very visual person. So that somebody got to check out that website. It's unbelievable. Monterey Peninsula Country Club's website. So I'd say those ones, that would be the one I haven't been to, is Monterey Peninsula. But if you're into golf, I love Inverness, in the Toledo area.
All right. Thanks, Rick. Thanks for giving us those tips.
Yeah.
All right. So how can folks reach you and learn a little bit about you and Club Essential?
Yeah, so clubessential.com obviously is our company name and our website there. My email address is the letter R for Rick, and then coffee, COFFEY, at clubessential.com. It's been great. I mean, it's a blessing to work for an industry leader, and so I'm sure a lot of our listeners who are listening to this know Club Essential very well. Many of them are going to be clients of ours, and we certainly thank you for that. So. Our coffee at clubessential.com, and then just you can reach us right at clubessential.com as a whole.
Awesome, Rick. It's been great having you on Private Club Radio. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Gabe. What an honor.
That was a great one. I don't know about you, but I got a ton of value out of it. And I am really excited to bring you next week's guest. Next week, we're going to be joined by Susan Green. Susan is the current president of the Professional Club Marketing Association. So if your club is looking to increase membership, this episode will give you some great ideas and advice on how to get your club positive in 2016. Don't forget to tell your friends about this show. It's because of you that we spread the word and get this into more corners of the industry. Thank you for being such a loyal listener. And until next week, here's to your membership success.
Just because this round is over doesn't mean you can't enjoy the 19th hole. Check out privateclubradio.com for more.